Next one, what is the force acting on charge Q? Please note down. Dear students, please note down. What is the force on charge Q? Charge Q, say charge Q, small q, moving with velocity v, in uniform magnetic field induction. In uniform, I'll repeat, what is the force on charge Q, small q, moving with velocity v in uniform magnetic field of induction B? When does it become maximum? So force on a moving charged particle in a magnetic induction field. So this, remember, it's important for IP as well as competitive. I Q bar plus V bar, Q V bar. I Q V bar cross V bar, or this is, sorry, Q V bar cross V bar. Make a correction here, Q V bar cross in vector form and put it that way. So if you want to expand this force magnitude, force acting on the moving charged particle given by Q V B sin theta. If you expand this cross product, this is the expression for force acting on a charged particle moving with certain velocity v, isn't it? In a magnetic induction field. This is the expression for, here Q is the charge, V is the velocity, B is the magnetic induction field. Here theta, angle between the velocity of charged particle, the direction of magnetic induction. So here when theta 90 degrees, sin 90 is maximum, that's 1, isn't it? Sin 90 is equal to 1. So force will be maximum. So maximum force given by QVB, sin 90 is 1. So when theta is 90 degrees, the force on the charged particle, moving charged particle, will be maximum. When is it minimum? This question is not asked, but when theta is 0. When theta is 0, sin 0 is 0. So 0 and anything is 0, so no force is exerted. The force will be minimum, that is 0, because sin 0 is 0, 0 and anything is 0. So when theta is 0 degrees, force will be minimum, so equal to 0, no force, right? That is, the charged particle moves in the direction of the magnetic field. Theta becomes 0. When theta is 0, sin 0 is 0. In this expression, we substitute sin 0, then 0 into this QVB will become 0. So when theta is 90 degrees, perpendicular, right angles, then the force on the charged particle will be maximum. It is given by QVB. Please note down. What is the force on charge Q moving with velocity V in uniform magnetic field? This expression directly you can write and then explain the terms involved in that expression. So Q is the charge of the particle, charged particle, V is the velocity with which it is moving, V is the magnetic induction field. Of course, theta is the angle between the velocity vector and magnetic induction field. Next, distinguish between, please note down, this is one of the important questions as far as IP examination is concerned. Distinguish between ammeter and voltmeter. Distinguish between ammeter one side and then voltmeter other side. As you are familiar, moving coil galvanometer is converted into ammeter and voltmeter by shunting, connecting a small resistance across the galvanometer. It will be converted into ammeter. Ammeter is the device meant for measuring the strength of current. Voltmeter is the device meant for measuring the potential difference across any 2 points in a circuit, isn't it? So ammeter is used to measure strength of current. It is used to measure strength. It is used to measure strength of current. Here it is used to measure potential difference. Potential difference across any 2 points in the circuit, isn't it? So here ammeter is, how do you get ammeter is obtained by connecting small resistance. It is called shunt resistance. By connecting shunt resistance, small resistance across a galvanometer. So here the shunted galvanometer behaves like an ammeter. This is shunt resistance, right? This entire device, shunted galvanometer, behaves like an ammeter. The galvanometer is converted into an ammeter by connecting suitable small resistance across or parallel to it. Here, a galvanometer is converted into a voltmeter by connecting high resistance in series. It is RH, high resistance in series. This behaves like voltmeter. Ammeter is always connected in series in the circuit, whereas voltmeter is connected across, parallel, right? So an ideal ammeter will have zero resistance. Ideal ammeter will have zero resistance, whereas an ideal voltmeter will have infinite resistance. Any 2 points you can highlight. Ammeter is a device meant for measuring the strength of current. Voltmeter is a device meant for potential difference. It gives the potential difference between any 2 points of the circuit. Ammeter is always connected in series. Voltmeter is always connected in parallel or across. So ideal ammeter will have zero resistance. Here ideal voltmeter will have infinite resistance. Any 2 points you can highlight. But the most important, the basic one, a galvanometer is connected into an ammeter by connecting small resistance. S stands for small resistance, shunt resistance across it. Here high resistance is connected in series with galvanometer. Right? Hope you understood. Distinguish between ammeter and voltmeter, one of the important questions. Ammeter, device used to measure the strength of current. Voltmeter is a device used to measure potential difference across any 2 points. So ammeter is connected in series, voltmeter is connected in parallel. Ideal ammeter will have zero resistance, ideal voltmeter will have infinite resistance. Now, as I already discussed this, next question, how do you convert moving coil galvanometer? How do you convert MCG, moving coil galvanometer, into ammeter? So, moving coil galvanometer, as we already mentioned here, so a moving coil galvanometer is converted into an ammeter by connecting a small resistance in parallel, small resistance across in parallel to the galvanometer. Then the voltmeter. So here a galvanometer is converted into voltmeter by connecting suitable high resistance. High resistance means the resistance will be very high compared to the resistance of the galvanometer. By connecting high resistance in series with it. Right? A galvanometer is converted into voltmeter by connecting suitable high resistance in series with it. Next, so please make a note of it. Write units magnetic induction. So we already covered that. Just one bit we missed here. Write an please make correction. So next bit, write an expression for magnetic induction at any point. Write an expression for magnetic induction at any point on the axis of circular current carrying coil. I repeat, write an expression for magnetic induction at any point on the axis of circular current carrying coil. This is one of the important applications of Biot and Savart's law. Hope you remember that. So this the coil, this axial line, at any point at a distance, the x from the center, where r is the radius. So this one is r square plus x square. Hope you remember this. Right? Magnetic induction field at any point on axial line. P is a point on axial line, let us say at a distance x from the center of the current carrying circular coil. Then the magnetic induction field at any point on axial line you already derived. So this mu 0 n I r square by 2 r square plus x square. Okay, r will take it as radius as r square, no problem. Okay, n is the total number of turns. If you want, you can use this capital N here. So this derivation, one of the applications of Biot and Savart's law, the magnetic induction field at any point on axial line of current carrying circular coil. Just make a note of it. Mu 0 Pax. A stands for axial line. Mu 0 Ni r square divided by 2 within the bracket r square plus x square. R square plus x square whole power of 3 by 2. Written? Here n is number of turns in the circular coil. I is the strength of the current flowing through the circular coil. The r is the radius. Is crystal clear in the diagram. R is the radius of the circular coil, and x is the distance of the point P on the axial line from the center of the circular coil. So number of turns, strength of current, radius of the circular coil, x is the distance of the point P. P is lying on the axial line. This direct the expression, you make a note of it. So here Ampere Biotons తర్వాత ఇక్కడ అయస్కాంత ప్రేరణ కేంద్రకం వద్ద అయస్కాంత ప్రేరణకు సమీకరణం. Next question. This direct expression, that's the magnetic induction at any point on axial line, mu 0. So mu 0 is permeability of free space. Permeability, n is the total number of turns, I is the current flowing through the circular coil. So r is the radius, and then here x is the distance of the point P from the center. Right? P is lying on the axial line. Next, this is important for competitive exams as well, not only for IP examination. A circular coil, please note down, of radius r, a circular coil of radius r, say small r, the radius of circular coil, having n turns, capital N, n is the total number of turns, n turns, carries a current I, small I. What is the magnetic moment? What is the magnetic moment? So magnetic moment expression, we already derived it, isn't it? So this, hope you remember. So magnetic moment M is equal to NIA, where A is the area, N is the total number of turns, or NI to pi r square, because the radius is given pi r square. Units are ampere per square. Magnetic moment so is given by NIA. This is the basic formula. Here N is total number of turns in the coil, I is the strength of the current, then A, area of the circular coil. Here pi r square is the area. The expression for magnetic moment. Directly you write this expression and explain the terms involved in that expression. What is N, what is I, what is R. So this is a very simple and straightforward one. Hope you have written that. Next, magnetic moment. This we already written. A circular coil of radius r having n turns carries a current I. What is its magnetic moment? Ayaskanta Brahmakam. దీన్ని అయస్కాంత భ్రామకం అంటారు. హియర్ క్యాపిటల్ ఇన్ అదే టోటల్ నెంబర్ చుట్ల సంఖ్య. ఇది ఐ అనేది విద్యుత్ స్ట్రెంత్ ఆఫ్ కరెంట్, విద్యుత్ ప్రవాహం యొక్క శక్తి. దెన్ ఆర్ వ్యాసార్థం, తీగ చుట్ట వ్యాసార్థం. So hope you are written, and this is important questions from this particular chapter. So hope you understood this. Then next, magnetism and matter. We already discussed in the might have discussed in the earlier classes, digital classes, online classes. So magnetism and matter, not many questions. Magnetism and matter. So this chapter 8, made second year physics. Few questions are there. So recently it telecasted. So hope you remember that. First of all, simple questions. So just I'll read out. So this is important for practicals 5 also. A magnetic dipole placed in a magnetic field and experiences a net force. Magnetic dipole, as you know, the magnetic pole will have north pole and south pole, N and S. The distance between them is called magnetic length, is denoted by 2L, right? L and L, isn't it? Now this magnetic dipole experiences a net force. Usually pole strength remains same, both north pole and south pole same strength. When it is placed in uniform magnetic field, the force on north pole and south pole both are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. So the net force acting will become 0. If it is a uniform magnetic field, net force becomes 0. But it is given in the question, a magnetic dipole placed in a magnetic field experiences a net force. What can you say about the nature of the magnetic field? What can you say about nature of magnetic field? See here, net force is exerted. Suppose if it is so net force is 0. So then net magnetic force. I mean the force on north pole and south pole both are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. They cancel each other. Net force becomes 0 if it is uniform magnetic field. Since a net force is acting, so magnetic field must be non-uniform magnetic field. Why? Because a net force is exerted on it. Net force is exerted on the magnetic dipole. Therefore, it is non-uniform magnetic field. Since the net force is there, net force is acting. So it is non-uniform magnetic field. Non-uniform magnetic field. Here first part, net force is 0, but however torque acts on it. Right? Torque means a pair of the two equal forces, forces equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, acting at different points constitute a couple. Couple means whenever couple is constituted, tendency to rotate the body. The torque acts on it. Torque is given by force into perpendicular distance, right? So two forces just like this. See here, one force is acting at this point A, another force is acting at point B. Both are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, acting at different points. They at a distance R. Then the torque acting on the body is magnitude of one of the forces and perpendicular distance R, F into R. Whenever torque acts, the tendency to rotate the body about an axis, isn't it? So for this particular question, so here since a net force is exerted on magnetic dipole, the magnetic field must be non-uniform magnetic field. Underline that word. It must be non-uniform magnetic field. Why? Because the net force is exerted on the magnetic dipole. Hope you are written. It is non-uniform magnetic field since net force is acting on the magnetic dipole. That must be the answer. It should underline that a non-uniform magnetic field since net force acting on the magnetic dipole. Since net force is acting on magnetic dipole. Next question. What happens to compass needle at Earth's poles? You know, Earth is a huge magnet consisting two poles, North Pole and South Pole, let's say, North Pole and South Pole, right? So now, we have an equator, right? Now, coming to the question, what happens to compass needle at Earth's poles? When you take a compass needle to poles, either North Pole or South Pole, it does not work. Why? Because it is designed to rotate in a horizontal plane. At poles, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field is 0. So at poles, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field is 0. At any pole, North Pole or South Pole, so horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field becomes 0. So at North Pole and South Pole, see that it is fully vertical. Only vertical component exists. So the needle is not designed to rotate in vertical direction. So it does not work at all. So it does not work, or it may deflect in any direction also. Because VH is equal to 0. The magnetic compass needle does not work because at poles, North Pole or South Pole, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field is 0. VH is equal to 0. Is it clear? So it is designed. So like this, say here, this is compass needle. We'll be using this in lab also to trace out the magnetic lines of force and locating the null points and determine the magnetic moment. In labs, when you go to the labs, it will be here magnetic compass needle. So pivoted compass needle, it is designed to rotate in horizontal plane only, right? At poles, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field being 0, or it becomes 0. So therefore, the compass needle doesn't work. Okay. So it has to lift upwards like this. It cannot lift it. It is designed so. It doesn't work. May so rotate in any direction. Next question. Make a note of it. What do you understand by magnetization? Magnetization of a sample. What do you understand by magnetization of a sample? Magnetization of a sample. So this magnetism and matter, hope you remember that. So when a magnetic material, right, when it is placed in a magnetic field, so what happens? It develops net magnetic moment. The net magnetic moment developed per unit volume is called magnetization of the sample. It is denoted by I. So here net magnetic moment, M net divided by V stands for volume. So M net magnetic moment developed per unit volume called the intensity of magnetization or magnetization of a sample. So when a magnetic material placed in a magnetic field, so what happens? It develops a net magnetic moment. The net magnetic moment developed per unit volume is called magnetization of the sample. It is denoted by I. Capital I is M net is divided by volume. So its units not asked in this particular question, but it's important for competitive exams. If anybody wants, make a note of it. Magnetic moment units are ampere meter square, volume cubic meter, meter cube. So meter square gets cancelled. So we have ampere, the denominator we have meter inverse. Ampere per meter or ampere meter inverse. If anybody wants, you can define this magnetization of the sample in terms of the pole strength as well. Magnetic moment is always defined as the length of the magnet Then the pole strength, small m here represents pole strength. So divided by volume, we can write it 2L into A, volume of the magnet, the length into cross-sectional area, 2L, 2L. 2L is the length of the magnet. So pole strength per unit area is defined as pole strength. Anybody wants, we can define this way, pole strength by area. From this definition is also you'll get same units and same dimensional formula. Your pole strength is ampere meter. So area, the meter square. So 1 meter gets cancelled. Finally, you have ampere meter inverse. The unit for so intensity of magnetization. Hope you understood. Please note down what do you understand by magnetization of a sample. So magnetization of a sample is defined as the net magnetic moment developed per unit volume. When a magnetic material is kept placed in a magnetic field, it develops net magnetic moment. Then the net magnetic moment developed per unit volume called magnetization of a sample or intensity of magnetization. So write down support with mathematical equal I equal to m net, subscript here, m net divided by volume. So this is ampere meter square units, ampere meter square by cubic meter in the denominator, meter square gets cancelled. Finally, we have ampere meter inverse. Hope you have written that. Next one, another important question asked several times in IP examination. What is the magnetic moment associated with a solenoid? Tiga chutta. What is the magnetic moment associated with a solenoid? కరెంటు ప్రవహిస్తున్నటువంటి తీగ చుట్ట యొక్క అయస్కాంత భ్రామకంకి సమీకరణము తెలపండి. What is the magnetic moment associated with a solenoid? Solenoid, hope you remember that while deriving that expressions, current carrying coil. So this is a current carrying coil, solenoid, you can put it that way. What is the magnetic moment associated with a solenoid? The magnetic moment of a solenoid is basic formula is same, NIA. So if it is solenoid having length, let us say 2L is the length and 2Ln, small n denotes your number of turns per unit length. Be careful here. In case of solenoid, to take the length of the solenoid as 2L, then small n represents number of turns per unit length. And total number of turns, capital N, is 2Ln. Then A, pi A square or pi R square. Whatever you want, you can write it. Your ampere per square is units. Your 2L denotes your length of the solenoid. Make a note of it. Length of solenoid. And of course, N, small n denotes number of turns per unit length. Number of turns per unit length. Number of turns per unit length. ఏకాంక పొడవుకున్నటువంటి తీగచుట్టలో ఉన్నటువంటి చుట్ల సంఖ్య అన్నమాట. ఇక్కడేమో 2L అండ్ సాలినాయిడ్ యొక్క పొడవు 2L అనేది. I of course కరెంట్, తీగ చుట్టలో ప్రవహిస్తున్నట్టు స్ట్రెంగ్త్ ఆఫ్ కరెంట్. Strength of current. Of course, R is the radius. R is the radius of solenoid. తీగ చుట్ట యొక్క వ్యాసార్థం. So it is important for competitive exams, numerical problems and expect. Next, what are the units of magnetic moment and then magnetic induction? You already written the repetition anyway. Write down what are the units of magnetic moment and magnetic induction. Units of magnetic moment and magnetic induction. magnetic induction field or magnetic induction simply. So as we already discussed, magnetic moment denoted by capital M, it is units are. So this magnetic length and pole strength units, SI units of M. So ampere meter square. Ampere is scientist name. Use capital letter A. M square, meter square. Magnetic induction different units are Weber per meter square, or it is also called Tesla. Tesla is scientist name. Make a note of it. Very, very important. Easily you can score marks. Weber per meter square. WB here, Weber. Weber per meter square. It is also called Tesla. Better? Please make note of it. Note down, students. Units of magnetic moment and magnetic induction. So magnetic moment, basic definition is always the product of magnetic length and pole strength. Magnetic length is measured in meters, and then pole strength, M stands for pole strength, here ampere meter. So it is finally ampere meter square. Magnetic induction field, like P, Weber per meter square, it is also called Tesla. So another unit is also there. For IP examination is more than enough. Only for competitive exams, F is equal to ILB. This unit also important for competitive exams. Anybody is interested, make a note of it. F is measured in newtons, ampere meter. It is also measured in Newton, ampere inverse, meter inverse. This is for competitive exams. For IP examination, you write Weber per meter square or Tesla or any unit, appropriate unit.